Hi, welcome to episode 13 of the You Have Got to Be Knitting Me knitting podcast. My name is Nora. You can follow me on Instagram at You Have Got to Be Knitting Me and also on TikTok at You Have Got to Be Knitting Me. And you can friend me on Ravelry at Nora Byron. Those are all my socials. And if this isn't your first episode, you might be like, okay, new location unlocked. I'm cat sitting. Maybe we'll have some cats. There's 3 of them in the house, so maybe we'll have some cats to visit. There's a porch right there outside, and I can see at least one of them, so maybe they'll come inside and say hi. Yeah, that's why I'm here. But hopefully the video looks really good because I'm sitting in a room that's completely windows, and it's very sunny, so I hope the lighting looks good. Yeah, and that is why the location is different, because I am cat sitting. So without further ado, let's talk about knitting. First off, I'm going to show the finished objects that I have. I have 2, but when I planned this episode, I only had 1, so good on me for finishing another one. The first is what I was working on last time. Let me get out of my bag. Okay, what I was working on last episode was this Olga jacket. This is my second Olga jacket, and this one I knit every stripe a different color, and I'm so happy with how it came out. Yeah, I really am very just pleased with how it looks. All of the yarn is wool of the Andes worsted. This is all scraps from my stash pretty much, and then the sleeves are pink Posy heather wool of the Andes, and the cuffs, button band, collar are all I think it's called Garnet heather. That was also from my stash. I had a lot of little balls of that, so I was able to use that up. Yeah, so this is the finished sweater. I knit the medium, which is the same as my other Olga jacket, and I've worn that one a few times, and I really like how that fits. It's quite boxy and nice. And I went with the square buttons. I had a little poll on my TikTok, square versus circle, but I went with the square. I got these at the yarn cellar in York, Maine. Not Kittery, in York. I bought them with the intention of using it for the sweater, these or the other buttons. So yeah, this came out exactly how I dreamt it, and I'm excited to wear it. Yeah, the Olga jacket by PetiteKnit. The only change I made is that I think the patterns were written for DK, and I knit both. All 3 of my Olga sweaters have actually knit in worsted weight, but I didn't make any changes to that. Like same needle size, same stitches, everything. Yeah, this is my Olga jacket. Finished object number 1, done. My next finished project I have in my Jellycat bag, which isn't a great sock bag because it's really narrow and my needles always stick through. So I have this little mermaid needle minder, which is really cute, but I don't know, it's kind of annoying. I should get a better knitting bag, but I love Jellycats. The socks I was knitting these last episode, but I only had just the leg on one started. These are the Simply Ribbed socks with square heel by This Handmade Life. I really like this sock pattern. I really like the way it looks. I really like the way it fits. The heel is like just a nice like cup on your heel. It's ribbed all the way around, which at first I didn't think I would like, but you really don't feel the difference on your feet. I thought that was going to bother me on the bottom of my feet, but it doesn't. And I really like the tightness that the ribbing gives. Yeah, so this is the 3rd time I did this pattern. I'm not going to stop anytime soon. I really like it. And I always knit my socks unless we're doing color work. I always knit my socks on size 0 needles. I really like tight socks. And I feel like I'm a pretty loose knitter, so I have to make up with that on my needle size. So I usually knit in size 0 almost always, unless there's color work charts involved, then maybe I'll go up to size 1. But these were knit on size 0, double pointed needles. And the yarn I got at Looped Yarn Works in DC. It's rolled into a ball because I was at my friend's house and I didn't have my Swift or ball winder, so I had to do the old school way. But this yarn is from Looped Yarn Works in DC, and it's from Big Little Yarn Company, and it's called Nue, spelled N-U-E. And it's really pretty. Kind of all my favorite colors, gold and yellow are my favorite colors. So I love this yarn, and I have a pair of brown Doc Martens shoes that these are gonna look so good with, so I'm excited to wear those. This is finished object number 2. Let's move on to some whips. Okay, both whips I have are exceptionally exciting, I would say. I'm not sure which one to start with. Let's go with my crochet project. This is a long-term whip. I started the scrap blanket. That was nice drama that I was in a roll. I didn't even mean for that. I love folding up a scrap blanket. It looks so nice. Yeah, I started this scrap yarn blanket. Actually, that's the starting row. It's crocheted. Sometimes I crochet, not often. Actually, kind of often. I just am not as confident in my crochet skills as my knitting skills. This is the linen / moss stitch blanket from Emma C Makes. She has really good crochet tutorials. I'm also making her mini granny square scrap blanket, and I really like her tutorials. So if you're interested in making any type of scrap blanket, I recommend those. I'll have it linked in the description. I have all my projects linked, or all the notes I can put really in the description of my YouTube videos. It's funny to just say YouTube things. I think it's funny. Okay, so yeah, this blanket, I am doing one scrap yarn color for every stripe, but the stripes are 2 rows, so you go back and forth. So when I go to weave in my ends, which I have already done, they're all on one side, both the start and the finish end. So it's 2 rows. All right, see, I'm a knitter at heart. I chained, I think, 500 stitches. I did 500 in my head, but I never went back and counted. But you only need it to be, I think, an even or an odd number, or one or the other. I think you need to have an even number. Well, if it's 500, even. It's not like that specific of the stitch count. And she did say that the fabric shrinks a little bit from your chain row. So I was a little bit apprehensive of the size, especially I feel like when I start blankets that start with a chain, I always do way too much. So I was a little worried, and as I got a few rows down, I laid it out on my bed, and I would say this is perfect throw / could cover a twin bed width-wise, which is exactly what I was looking for this. And just some stats on the blanket. So far it is 36 colors, which means is 9.25 inches long so far. And I'm just gonna keep adding to it until it gets to a good throw blanket size. This is going to take me a very long time. I have several scrap blankets on the needles / hooks, and I just add to them whenever and start new ones all the time. So in a few weeks I have quite a bit of yarn that I can add to my scrap blankets. So a few episodes from now, I'll give you a little scrap yarn blanket update. But this is my linen stitch. I'm gonna go with linen stitch. I'm not sure what the slash is for. Moss stitch, who knows? I'm not sure if this is one of those, it's called linen stitch in one country and moss stitch in the other. The last thing I was going to say about this blanket is that I did it on a 3.25 millimeter hook, which is what I'm finding I like for fingering weight blankets. This is all fingering weight scrap sock yarn, which is what all my scrap yarn blankets are made out of. Yeah, 3.25 millimeter hook, which is the same that I did for my granny stripe blanket, which I'm learning. These crochet hooks actually do have a little bit of a lifespan because I don't have mine here now, but I'm using one of the Clover hooks that have the rubber like ergonomic handle, which are so nice, and that's what all the crochet hooks I buy. But because I've used this so much, it's like truly disintegrating in my hand. And if I'm working for a while, I have like almost that, like when you erase something on a piece of paper and you have to brush off the shavings, like I have those on my hand from crocheting, which I think is really funny. That's kind of a human erosion. It's interesting. But yeah, this is my blanket. One last look. I have a lot of fun. I love scrap yarn blankets. I'll never stop. When I die, you can just like roll me up in a million blankets, and I don't know. I just feel like that's my legacy, is just all these scrap yarn blankets. Whip number 1, really close to landing in a cup of tea. It's so hard being whimsical. It's okay. Okay, I'm gonna drink the tea to avoid any further disasters. This isn't a great idea because, as I said, I'm sitting in a room that's completely windows. It is really hot. But I'm not gonna take my hoodie off because I love my All Things Go hoodie. I went last year, I didn't go this year, but my friends went this year and they had fun. I didn't really comment on the house that I'm in. Isn't it beautiful? She has so many books. It's so nice to be here because I just love to look at her bookshelves. It's very inspiring. We'll talk about books later in the episode, but yeah, I just love her books and her house is so nice. I hope her kitties come and say hi during the episode. They are very friendly to me, usually. Okay, second whip. If you saw maybe my TikTok, I have posted about this, but I haven't posted on Instagram yet. I've had this idea for a while. It's over here. I've had this idea for a while where I really wanted to knit the sweater that Danny wears in The Shining, the Apollo sweater. And like a few Halloweens have passed and it's been on my list and I just haven't done it. And I'm doing it this year and it's really exciting. And Knit Pick sent me the yarn, which is I think definitely a factor in why I'm doing it this year, is that the yarn was gifted to me. But yeah, this is my Halloween knitting project. I'll show you now. It's really fun. I love Intarsia. I'm really treating myself. I have a scrap yarn blanket on the needles and an Intarsia project. Life couldn't get better for me, I don't think. Here is what we have so far. I'm knitting it in pieces. And I did the chart myself. It took a while, but did the chart myself. I did make some changes from the movie. The sweater is a raglan sweater and I just don't want to do that. And so I'm knitting it a drop sleeve. And also the sweater is, I think, so I'm filming a vlog all about this sweater that I'm going to be posting on YouTube too. And I think in that clip I said it was duplicate stitched, like all the black text on the rocket, but I actually think it's just like back stitched on. So that's another big change, is that I just put all of the lettering into the chart. But yesterday I was watching, now I'm gonna forget all of the knitting stuff if I go on this little tangent, but as I was knitting last night, I watched the documentary called Room 237, and it's about, like, I've seen The Shining a million times, but I am gonna rewatch it during this knit. But it was a documentary about people's like fan theories and conspiracy theories about about the Shining movie. And I was like feeling a little bit like guilty as like a fan that I was changing it from a raglan to a drop sleeve. And I'm like, what if like in this documentary, they're like, there's a big, it's like significant why it's a raglan sweater and not a drop sleeve sweater. They did not, the sweater is mentioned in the movie, but it's not, that is not specifically a reference to anything. Maybe it is Stanley Kubrick, maybe it could be really, actually there is a lot of knitting references in that movie, like Jack's tie is the maze, one of the really significant parts of the Shining movie. Anyway, I was actually watching the movie, when I was watching the documentary, there was another knit that popped out to me, but I can't remember what it was. But anyways, this is my Shining sweater. I'm knitting in pieces. This is the front. This is all I have done so far. But this was all just knitting during the movie pretty much. I stopped here last night and then I knit this today. So moving right along, the stars, and I think there's a sun over here, don't really match the photo at all either. I just kind of free-handed them and I like the way they kind of look like SpongeBob-y to me. Yeah, and there's sleeves, there's stars on the sleeves as well. But yeah, that is this. I'm knitting it on the ribbing size 4 and the main part size 6. And that is based on, drumroll, this sweater, which I also designed. If you go back to like February and March, that's where I was knitting this. So there's a few episodes where I'm knitting this. But here, this is kind of one of the reasons why I wanted it to be a drop sleeve and not a raglan, is that I already had a drop sleeve chart in the size that I wanted. I took 7 stitches off of this onto that one. And as I'm knitting, I'm like, oh, it looks too small, but this is too big. It's too big to be the Danny sweater. I like the way it fits for this sweater. But I did take 7 stitches off of the chart and a few rows off. So it's gonna be a little bit smaller, but the chart is based on this sweater, which has a cow on the front and a little house and an alien on the back. This is the sweater I entered into the fair, and I got 2nd place. One of the things that I think is bad about it, and I'm not sure if it's the reason I got 2nd place, is because I picked up the stitches really bad on the neckline. Like, I'm embarrassed by it, but I just like didn't want to go back. So when I knit the shining sweater, my neckline is gonna look so good. It's gonna be 1st place worthy neckline. Like if I was in the room while they were judging me, I would have been like, you see that? Anyway, maybe one day I'll judge a knitting state fair. That'd be kind of fun, actually. Anyway, that is what the shining sweater is based on, is this Intarsia project. That is what I'm working on. Let's get one last look. Oh, I have to talk about the yarn too. What am I doing? One last look. We're all tangled. We got the USA. I don't really know much about space. Like in this movie, obviously, they're in the documentary, they were talking about like Stanley Kubrick staging the moon landing. At the end of the movie, I was like, wait, did Stanley Kubrick stage the moon landing? But I don't really know much about space, and I consider myself a very smart person. I'm not interested in learning about space. And I'm not interested, other things I could say that about blanket statements. I'm not interested in learning the rules of football. I'm not interested in learning how to drive manually. Maybe that will hurt me one day. Who knows? But I don't know about much about space. I don't really know about the Apollo 11. Maybe I should do some research. I care more about The Shining and horror movies. Anyway, the yarn. And the yarn was sent to me by Knit Picks. Thank you, Knit Picks. I did have some in my stash. I had some of the black and the yellow in my stash, and also I had a few balls of white that are in cakes and don't have a ball band. And I'm like really on the fence if they're the same color. Like I know that this line has maybe a cream and a white and an off-white. And like I hold them next to each other and I can convince myself they're the same, and I can convince myself that they're different. So I'm gonna hope that I don't have to make that decision, and I'm gonna just hope that I can make the whole rocket on just one ball of yarn. But I have black and this yellow, which is called buttered popcorn or popcorn butter. I did look it up this morning, but maybe I wrote it down. Popcorn, I just wrote, I'm not sure. Popcorn butter, and it's one of the new Wool of the Andes colors. I really like it. Yellow is my favorite color. The main color is called Ciel. I was in between this and Whirlpool. We're getting really specific. But I felt like Whirlpool was a little bit too bright, and also a little bit too bright. Like if I were going to wear this in not a costumey sense, which I'm not really sure if I could pull this off in a not a costumey sense, I would just like to wear this color rather than a more bright blue. Oh yeah, here's what it looks like not caked up. Wool of the Andes worsted, Ciel. The black is called Coal. And the white is called White, I assume. Maybe it's called Cloud. I think Cloud's a different one. This one's definitely called White. I don't want you to get in the same predicament of me as I am of not knowing what yarn you have. When I knit Intarsia, when I learned Intarsia, I learned it from this YouTube creator called Annetarsia. Her name is Anne, and she calls her technique Annetarsia, and she makes these little butterfly like balls. This is how she, instead of using bobbins or anything, which I find really, I've never knit with bobbins. It's the only way I've ever knit Intarsia, but I find this technique really good, and I'm gonna link to Anne's YouTube channel. This was so long ago when I learned this, so I'm not even sure which YouTube videos I used, but I'm just gonna link to her channel. If you are interested in learning Intarsia, I really recommend her. Also, how I taught myself Intarsia was from James N. Watt's Color Quadrant hat. I'm pretty sure he has a video too that a tutorial. You might have to buy the pattern to have access to the tutorial, but maybe it's just on his channel. That video, I was confused by Intarsia. I watched the video and everything clicked. So those are my 2 tips if you want to learn Intarsia. I feel like particularly that sweater update was all over the place, but that's okay. I'm really excited. I love Halloween. I think it's my favorite holiday. Last year I was chaperone. Okay, we've made it to the catch-up part of the knitting podcast. This is where I talk about books or shows in my life or whatever. Just to give you an overview of this particular catch-up, I will be talking about books and TV shows and Taylor Swift. So let's get started. I've been doing some really good reading. I think the last episode I was talking about A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon, which is part of the Priory of the Orange Tree series. I really like that book and I finished it. And upon reading that book, I learned that Samantha Shannon has endometriosis. I also have endometriosis, so I really liked that sisterhood. It made me enjoy reading her book more, actually. That's kind of sad, but it's true. So yeah, I finished The Day of Fallen Night, and thankfully those 2 books are over 800 pages, and the 3rd book in the series is only a little over 200. So that was a nice little treat. But I have now finished this one as well. Really good fantasy, feminist, fun, queer series I really enjoy. And if you've been following along on my knitting podcast episodes, I've been really on a journey to enjoy fantasy, and I think I found my series. I really like these books. And A Day of Fallen Night and Among the Burning Flowers are both prequels to the Priory of the Orange Tree, but apparently you can read them in any order. I read them in publishing order. This book just came out apparently, but I really liked it. So Priory of the Orange Tree series, big recommend. What I'm reading now, I'm also really enjoying, and I think I will probably finish today. I read this much in one sitting, so this one is even shorter than that one, actually. It's a nice break from what I've been reading. This book is called The Hounding by Zenobi Purvis, and also a new release. I really like it. It's about a town in 17th century England, and there's sisters who think that, or the town thinks that these sisters might be turning into dogs, and like the bolded part of the cover I think is a good description. It says The Crucible Meets the Virgin Suicides. I found this book so far, I'm only 100 pages in, have 100 pages left. I really like. It's like a quick read, and also sometimes I feel I am somebody who really likes weird and twisted literature, and sometimes I find, even with modern text, I find sometimes the text can be very dense, and this, even though it's like strange in 17th century England or whatever, it's not like dense text. The chapters are short, the writing is really nice, but it's not musty, which sometimes I feel that weird literature can be a little musty, intentionally musty. Yeah, but The Hounding, I really like. Those are my books. TV shows, I watched / rewatched. I watched like half the season of season 7 of RuPaul's Drag Race, and I watched Katya and Trixie's. They rewatched they were both on that season, and they rewatched it and did their podcast and YouTube videos about it. Really enjoyed. The reason I stopped watching so I watched season 7 a few years ago, but in my heart, I'm just a sensitive girl, and sometimes like me and drag queens, I can be a little bit sensitive about, and Violet, I was just a little bit too sensitive for, but rewatching with a little bit of a tougher skin, I really appreciate her drag. And I really thought, especially with the rewatch with Trixie and Katya, enjoyed. And I kind of have been off of Drag Race for a little bit because I haven't enjoyed the most recent seasons as much. I came onto Drag Race season 14 and then went back, and I just like really love season 14. And I haven't been impressed by a new cast as much, but Those are my drag takes, especially drag season from 10 years ago. Really enjoyed. And now I'm watching Veep, which I've never watched, and I'm really enjoying. Obviously, it's such a good show. I don't know why I've been putting it off. I love Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I love Tony Hale. Really good. I'm sure everyone's watched Veep, but I'm really enjoying myself. And I love how the episodes are half an hour, because HBO, sometimes the hour episodes, too much. Especially for a comedy. Like, it's so nice to be able to watch multiple episodes in a day. That's all I've been watching, except for this is a movie I rewatch all the time. I did watch The In-Laws with Alan Arkin and, oh my god, what is his name? I love him. Columbo. I want to call him Paul. Peter Falk. I love The In-Laws. If you guys haven't seen that, it's so funny. It's such a good comedy. Anyway, Peter Falk. Those are all my movies. And then finally, this is my review. Not my review. I just wanted to talk about Taylor for a second because I love Taylor and I really like Life of a Showgirl. I think when the dust settles, is this going to be my favorite Taylor Swift album ever? No, but that's okay. Like, I'm just here to be entertained, and I'm entertained. I had a great time on Friday morning listening to the album with my headphones in, making my breakfast. Really nice. And my favorite songs are The Life of a Showgirl, which I'm like not a Sabrina Carpenter fan, and I would just want to say that I think Sabrina's voice sounds particularly beautiful in that song. I think that's my favorite, and I like Wood, and I like, Honey. Honey is my favorite, and I'm trying not to let, like, obviously people are being like kind of mean about this album. Like, I'm trying not to let that get to me. Again, as a sensitive person, I'm getting like really sensitive if I'm watching people rank their album. There's the songs on the album when they put Honey last or second to last. I'm like, guys, that's like the best song on the album. What are you talking about? And it's Taylor lyrics. Honey's so good. The clarinet. I love that song. I love Taylor Swift. What can I say? Sue me. I really like Life of a Showgirl. And I had a lot of fun. Like, I listened to every one of her albums leading up to it, and I had a lot of fun. I felt like I saw my own life flash before my eyes. That's the thing about Taylor, is that we all grew up with her. So it was fun to review her discography in succession like that. So I enjoyed Life of a Showgirl. I didn't go see the movie or the music video or whatever. I think I'll just see it whenever it comes for me to watch, not in a movie theater. But yeah, that is my Taylor Swift update. Yeah, I like the album. It's fun. It's fun. It's fun to get down with your girls with too. So that's pretty much all I have to talk about. I'm driving to DC this week. I'm filming this episode, but I might not upload it for a few days because I'm driving to DC this week. I'm always driving to DC. I'm pretty sure like most of these episodes I'm either coming back from DC or about to go. That's okay. It's the most exciting part of my life. But I'm going to see Chance the Rapper with my bestie Isabel on Wednesday, which I'm really excited about. It's going to be a very fun concert, and who knows what else I'll get up to. Hopefully some knitting, because I need to be working on my Halloween project. I have lots of fun knits also planned. I'm really excited about the next couple weeks, so get excited with me. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.